Well, we are back and we are ready to end it off on a high. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2021 iRacing Stock Car Association ButtKicker Cup Series season finale here for this final season of 2021, and you're running of the ButtKicker 200 from the Richmond Raceway. My name is Old Rempo. I've got Brian Britt beside me in the commentary box with Rob Melnick down behind the cameras for tonight's presentation. So 200 laps around a track that, Brian, you and I have both said we have thoroughly enjoyed seeing this track race, and no doubt we are looking to see just what we'll be able to have up for us for 200 laps of racing action here tonight in this season finale.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an exciting race. I mean, like you said, this is really a very fast track. I mean, faster than a lot of tracks when it comes to how long this racetrack is. Going to be interesting to see how these guys handle each, corners, each side of the racetrack, considering much different. Coming out of two. Very narrow coming out of there, so we could see some guys hit the wall. Could see some guys getting real loose coming out of four.
And, of course, I think one of the biggest stories coming into today is, of course, going to be the fact that we have already wrapped up the championship. We did this 2 weeks ago at the National Fairgrounds when Justin Levine got his win after Clayton Hoffman crashed out early on. So, of course, now you have yourself with a season champion here tonight in Justin Levine. So that means it's going to be a relatively smooth run throughout the course of tonight's race. Shouldn't expect too many big exciting moments. Of course, there are a few points battles up and down the field. You've got David Phillips II and Brian Littleton looking to do battle for 4th and 5th. But Littleton has shown up tonight. So Brian Littleton looks like he'll be able to secure 4th place in the point standings exiting this season. Kenny Powell, Roy Hyde, 1 point separate those two drivers on the scoring board. Those are positions for 7th and 8th at the moment. So you got a few positions still up for grabs here in the top 10.
Yeah, definitely going to make things a little bit more exciting out here. So even though the championship race has, the championship hunt has already pretty much been settled, there's some guys out there that are still after a little bit of glory, and everybody wants to try to win the last race. So I think that this is going to be important for a lot of these guys. I'm curious to see how Justin Levine handles this race. I mean, is he just going to be taking it easy? I mean, knowing him, he likes to go fast, so I expect he's going to try to win it either way.
And, of course, you've probably noticed there is a bit of a smaller field size that we're used to seeing here tonight. It's understandable, though, right? I mean, you get yourself with a championship locked away before the season's end. And, of course, that kind of eliminates a necessity, I think, that a lot of drivers might think about, trying to go and race it out themselves. I mean, why not? I mean, we're entering the holiday season. People are busy. So if you can take that extra race off knowing there's nothing really on the line for you, you may as well take that. So 14 cars getting set to qualify here. 9 have set times so far in this 5-minute, 2-lap qualifying session. Still 5 more drivers yet to set qualifying times as well. Take a look back at Justin Levine, your current defending champion. He's coming to the close of his second lap, logs at a 21.468. Not going to beat his 4.27, though, to best his qualifying time, leaving Dan Shamoon, a frontline teammate, out there on pole position for the time being.
Yeah, a little bit of a new name out there qualifying. Looks like he's going to qualify 10th. Joshua O'Connor. Haven't seen his name before, so glad to see him making the, joining over here in the ISCA. Nice to see some new faces out there.
O'Connor, I believe, raced 2 weeks ago, at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. And O'Connor, of course, usually races in the Tucson Sound Art Cup Series over on Saturdays. He decided to make the leap, though, over to the Thursday night ButtKicker Cup Series to do a little bit of racing action with us over here on Thursday nights, and always happy to have a few more faces available as well. And with 56 in qualifying, nobody is on track at the moment, so I'm going to take this opportunity just to mention now that ISCA is actively recruiting, so if you feel like this is something you might want to get in on, we of course have 2 series that are open. You got your Thursday night ButtKicker Cup Series and a Saturday night Tucson Sound Art Cup Series. Both series at the moment racing on identical schedules with these Gen 6 cars set to switch over to next-gen cars, or I guess what is now Gen 7 cars, current gen, you could say. So if you are interested at racing at all with us over here at the iRacing Stock Car Association, then hit up Kenny Powell on iRacing. He'll be more than happy to help you get set up and begin your ISCA career. Qualifying is coming to a close. Let's take a quick step away. We'll be back in just a few moments with your starting grid.
Race fans, it is time for those most famous words in motorsports.
Driver, start your engine!
Starting on pole position for today's ButtKicker 200 from the Richmond Raceway is none other than Frontline Racing's Dan Shamoon. It is Noah Bitts lining it up beside him with a solid 21.285 down in second place on the front row. Justin Levine sits in third with Chris Johnson in fourth. Josh Schoffer is fifth with Brian Johnson in sixth. Kenny Powell and Al Kozlowski, Brian, round out your top half of the field.
Yep, and ninth is going to be Greg Wachinski. 10th, Josh O'Connor. 11th, Heath Snyder. 12th, Chris Severa. Sorry about that, Nolan. 13th, Roy Hyde. 14th, Brian Littleton. Apparently, I just had a stroke there talking. But, yeah, we got a talented field out there. Going to be an exciting race for sure, Nolan.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a week after week, this series has provided some exciting racing, even with some smaller grids. And the Tucson Sound Cup Series, I think, proves that you don't need a large number of cars to have a very exciting race, especially on some of the shorter tracks like Richmond Raceway here tonight. Let's go over some of the race facts, shall we? 200 laps for the course of the night. Stage breaks are going to be at laps 50 and 100. They want to roughly 82 laps, so just shy on being able to make it all the way through stage number 3. Expect people to come on down. I would say maybe between 160 and 170 will be a likely pit window for us here tonight, Brian. It is 77 degrees Fahrenheit on the track, 76 in the air. Of course, that should mean it's a relatively cool track over here in Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of hectic there when you at the end when you actually decide when you're going to pit. That's going to be kind of an interesting call that these guys have. Do you go in and risk a caution coming out? Can't wait to get there. But I know these first two stages, fuel is not going to be a concern. But I guarantee you one thing that is going to be a concern: tires.
And of course, we are going to be racing under the lights here tonight. That track temperature and air temperature are likely both going to cool as the night goes on. It is at the moment just 4 o'clock in sim time on December the 1st. So we'll be racing, I would say we're going to be under complete darkness here at the Richmond Raceway before we even get to the Stage 1 caution.
That will help out the tires quite a bit. I mean, lower temperatures out on the racetrack kind of help those tires stay a little bit cooler. But I do think that it is going to be something out there. I mean, even just watching them in practice, a lot of these guys fell off quite a bit as they went. We're going to have to wait and see who has the long run, who has the short run. Cautions could determine who wins this thing.
And the pace car starts to roll for the first of what will be 2 pace laps for us here on the night before we get set to duke things out for 200 laps around the Richmond Raceway. 64 points at the moment separate Justin Levine from Clayton Hoffman, which is, unfortunately for Hoffman, a gap that he is not going to be able to surpass by the end of the night. I think one driver that is worth mentioning is actually going to be that of Chris Johnson at the moment, right? 49 points separate himself and Kenny Powell for the points lead in the Tucson Sound Cup Series. So this race could prove for some vital practice to help Johnson lock that championship away in just 3 days' time.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be very valuable time out there for him and Kenny Powell. I mean, both of them going to have to try to use this as a learning experience, prepare themselves for that. So I'm sure they're not viewing it as a practice, but definitely will serve as that all just the same.
We're going to come around through turn 1 here for the final time before we get things underway for some green flag racing here tonight. What do you think are going to be some of the guys who might want to keep an eye out over the course of this first stage here tonight?
I think short run speed, we definitely saw in practice Noah Bitts had something under that hood, so I expect to keep an eye on him for sure. I mean, Justin Levine, even though he has this championship locked up, I think he's going to be another one to keep an eye on. He probably wants to win the race also. I mean, what a way to cap off a championship would be winning a race.
Pace cars down and in, we say let's go racing one more time here in 2021. The season finale and the ButtKicker 200 is underway from Richmond.
And still side by side between the two leaders here, Dan Shamoon and Noah Bitts. Noah Bitts getting a little bit of an edge out on the high side. You can see that happen here at Richmond. You can run both lines, get a good run on up top.
Did help as well that Dan Shamoon got all sorts of sideways off of the bottom side through 1 and 2 the last time by. Diving it down through 1 and 2. It was Bitts to lead the lap at the line. This time, Dan Shamoon with a much stronger run around the inside line of turn 2. He'll hold the bottom for turn 3 and looks to take that lead back. Can't get clear though once again, stepping the back end out. It is oh so easy to do. Here from Richmond, that's going to be one thing to watch out for, especially on cold rubber, no doubt, when we come around to these stage restarts.
Yeah, one thing I always say, you know, at tracks like this, you want to drive like you got a, you know, some eggs literally below your gas pedal. You don't want to ever get on it too hard. No sudden movements, because that thing will step out in a hurry.
It absolutely will. So at the moment, it is Shamoon to lead from Bitts.
Schaffner having some problems. Field gets stacked up a little bit. Schaffner gets kicked sideways with some contact from Al Kozlowski.
Yeah, a bit of a moment deeper in the field. That was coming around through 1 and 2. I think that happened at the entry to turn number 1. Kozlowski just too deep on the brakes. A bit of a punt to the left rear quarter panel of Josh Shaw. Just a great save, though, for the 50 car. And that muscle Wachinski as well as O'Connor out of line. So both those drivers lost spots. Look at Kozlowski now up the inside of Schaffner through turn 2. Chris Severa looking to see if he can make up some ground, cutting right across Brian Littleton's line. Noticing some damage on the front on the brand new Gas and Go racers at number 62 for Mustang. So it looks like Severa might have made a little bit of a touch somewhere on the racing surface, potentially with the rear of Al Kozlowski, as Kozlowski's got a mimicking rear end damage as well. How about that for a drive for Severa around the outside of turn 2 down the backstretch? Really running that outside lane right by the wall. Loses some ground to Kozlowski, but just look at the speed difference out of 4.
Yeah, a ton of speed running right against the wall. I mean, it's so dangerous to do that. It's so easy to catch that wall. But you could definitely reap the benefits. And I think you're right. I think that those puzzle pieces are fitting there. I think the 62 got in the back of Kozlowski, but it doesn't seem like it's hurting that 62 as bad as you would expect. Ooh, big wiggle there into the entrance of the corner. And right now, Shamoon pulling out to 6/10 right now over Noah Bitts. Justin Levine following not too far behind.
And up front, you still see Dan Shamoon now looking to stretch his lead in the number 23 frontline Mustang. Bit of a bobble from Levine in behind. Gives it to Noah Bitts this time round into turn number 1. So Bitts looks set to see if he can maybe pull a bit of a gap behind for Levine to hold on to a second place. So the one you got a frontline 1, 2, and 3 to round out this race. And then from there you got G&G cars all the way back to the 7th position as well. So it's frontline, and then G all the way back. So you got yourself 2 very distinct teams running in the top 5 at the moment.
100%. If we're talking about that Tool Sound Art Championship on Saturday, well, I mean, Chris Johnson's getting some great practice in there. Like you mentioned, he's pretty quick. He's actually faster than Kenny Powell, so this is looking good for him going into Saturday, meaning that Kenny has some work to do.
Absolutely does. I mean, Kenny Powell has had his work cut out for him in that Tucson Sound Art Cup Series. He'll be trying to no doubt see what he can do throughout the course of this night. Battle is on further down the order. Al Kozlowski in a fight with Greg Wachinski for 9th and 10th at the moment, and Joshua Connor in the number 39 car looking to get in the mix as well. There's Roy Hyde looking to pull around the outside line. 1 point separates Hyde from Powell in the ButtKicker Cup Series standing in the battle for 7th place here in this season finale. Take a look at that very chrome number 88 Speedway Angels machine powering around the outside, trying to at least, for Wachinski. Wachinski's going to take that outside line away out of turn 2.
Yeah, Wachinski definitely not doing too bad out here. He has lost quite a bit of positions, and one good thing about this track is it is a low downforce, high horsepower, so a little bit of damage on your rear end, you know, mess that spoiler up. It's not going to hurt you too bad. But definitely makes these cars very ill handling. You can see the way these guys are slipping and sliding all over the racetrack.
That's what 79 degrees Fahrenheit track temperature will do to you. It does make the track a little bit more racy, but obviously as we get set to grow a bit cooler throughout the course of the night, it's going to make the track a little bit more slick as well as this night goes on. Look up front, just up the road to Brian Littleton and Josh Schaffner, having a bit of a scrap for 7th and 8th at the moment. They're right behind Kenny Powell, who currently runs 6th place. Littleton, though, looks like he might be losing a little bit of ground up to the number 50 Rocket Racing Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. And I have a feeling here that Schaffner might just be the better of these two drivers. We know that Littleton is very strong over a one-lap pace, right? But he still remains to put together a decent result in the race.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, I think we have seen him finish 4th or something recently, but, you're right, though. Consistency, waiting into next season, we'll see what he can do. And he is a bit slower than Schaffner right now. Schaffner just seems like he's got a better handling car right now, but one thing that we always can't discount is the ability of these drivers to make changes to their race cars as this race goes on, these stages.
Especially with the changing track conditions, right? I mean, we start at sunset, we're going to be racing deeper and deeper into the night, meaning some changes to these cars are going to be just about inevitable. Look at Al Kozlowski and Roy Hyde looking to tangle on the back straightaway. Kozlowski holding the inside lane still. Roy Hyde has been working the top line thus far. You see Kozlowski push it up off the apron just a little bit, but Roy Hyde is doing a great job at pinning him in. Oh, and a bobble for Kozlowski. We'll see him lose out to Roy Hyde in the battle for 10th.
Yeah, it looks like Joshua O'Connor maybe coming right up here to Kozlowski too. So Kozlowski's not having the best day. I mean, I just said about the opportunity to make changes to that car. I think Kozlowski probably does need to do that himself. But looking up front, I mean, Noah Bitts starting to catch up here to Dan Shamoon. Now 4/10 separate these two.
4/10 at the moment separating your top two drivers, which means that Dan Shamoon has not been able to pull away as much as I think we may have thought, and that could put him under some heavy fire, right? I mean, Noah Bitts has very, very consistently shown he is a long-run driver. Dan Shamoon much more better on the short runs. We'll compare lap times this time by as they cross the start-finish line, and for Dan Shamoon, it's a 22.29, 22.3 though for Noah Bitts. So Shamoon pulls another few hundredths of a second out over Dan Shamoon. So the gap is it's kind of ebbing and flowing, right? I mean, some laps, Bitts risen back in. Some laps, Shamoon pulls away a little bit. It's kind of an ebbing and flowing battle, and all the while, you've still got Justin Levine hanging just onto the back of them, just within a second.
I am surprised that Shamoon's not pulling away right now. You'd think clean air would be pretty valuable at this racetrack, just considering, I mean, it's already low downforce as it is. So any kind of air, you can get on that nose is going to help it go through the corner. So you would expect him to have a huge advantage here. But it does look like Bitts is starting to reel him back in again. But like you said, Levine, he's going to watch these guys, wait for the most inopportune time. I mean, he is driving like a champion right now. This is what you do. You bide your time. You wait until you know what the opportunity arises.
Coming up to halfway through stage one in about 2 laps time. Shamoon continues to lead the way, this time by Noah Bitts. Closes in by a couple hundredths of a second, down to just under half a second at the moment is your gap for the race leaders, and I think it is worth noting how dominant these frontline cars are on the short tracks, right? They have consistently shown they are really great on some of the smaller ovals that we come to on the regular. In your top 3 at the moment, just separated by about 1 second. It's another 4.3 back to the next closest driver, really showing just how quick those top 3 frontline guys really are working together.
Yeah, that's for sure. They are on another level. I would like to mention, though, back here we see Chris D. Johnson talked about how good a shape he is in for that Saturday championship. Well, Kenny Powell has reeled him in. Now is about a little bit under 4/10 away from Chris Johnson right now, and is running quite a bit faster than him every lap, over a 10th.
That could mean some slight troubles, of course, for Brian Johnson just up the road, right? It could prove to be a bit of an interesting situation here if Chris Johnson ends up losing out a little bit more to guys like Chris Johnson. You got Kenny Powell, of course, looking to hang tight with his G&G teammate in the number 24 Toyota Camry, and Littleton, interestingly enough, has been really reeling these guys in over the last while as well. He sits down in 8th place. He was originally in a battle with guys like Al Kozlowski, Greg Wyszynski, and Roy Hyde deeper down the field. But he broke clear of that pack, which is now some 3 seconds back. from your main battles for 5th, 6th, and 7th, which means Littleton is right on the cusp of being able to potentially break his way into the top 5 if he can find his way through.
Could very well happen. I mean, he's on pace to do it, but, you know, it's going to be a tall order, though. I mean, it's not going to be easy, that's for sure. I mean, this is one of those tracks where it's not very, you know, easy to pass, and these guys are, you know, really been losing a lot of tire, I'd say, considering, I mean, these guys have done almost 30 laps now, and they're hitting 22.6s, 22.5s when they started out hitting 21s. I mean, so they've already fallen off over a second for a lot of these guys.
I want to give a quick apologies to the frontline crews, as it turns out it is not a frontline 1-2-3, only a 2-3. I have been corrected. Dan Shamoon, not a member of the frontline esports crew, more actually racing with DSP at the moment. So you got a guy racing for DSP up in front, which means Noah Bitts might not be able to play favorites, as a huge bobble from Shamoon out of turn 4 allows for Noah Bitts to close in the gap. Now, under 0.2 of a second, you might be thinking, right, is this the time for the bump and run? You're not in contention for a points championship anymore now that Levine's got it won, so you can push a little more aggressively than you might be able to elsewhere on throughout the season.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't know if a bump and run will be appropriate right now. It's way too early to be even thinking about doing stuff like that. I mean, I think I would try to keep my car clean and try to stay within striking distance of Shamoon, and like you said, wait for him to make a mistake. That's what I would do. But Levine really is starting to come into play here. He has caught these guys. He's right there on them.
Certainly is. So frontline could potentially gang up on the lone DSP driver up the road. Dan Shamoon will be looking to see if he can maybe fight for it here in turns 3 and 4. It could be a tough run for him. You got under 20 laps to go for our first competition caution on the night, and as I say that, the stadium lights blink on over the Richmond Raceway. You see it there on that flyby shot from pit road. So we are going to be set to be racing under the lights here in just a little while. There is Chris Severa, G&G driver, just up the road in his G&G Ford Mustang, still with that front end damage he suffered earlier on. He is consistently over 1/10 of a second slower than the leaders just in behind him. So he is definitely going to be going down a lap here within the next 2 laps or so. Whether they will catch up to Heath Schneider still remains to be seen, but I'm thinking it might be a bit of a long shot at the moment. So it looks like while Severa could go that lap down, he will be the perfect candidate for the lucky dog when you get to that stage caution, 15 laps.
Yeah, for sure. And if I was him, I'd try to get some of that damage fixed. I mean, once you get that wave around, you know, and the pit's open for you, I definitely would try to get a little bit of that damage fixed. Kind of hard to get a lot of damage fixed here at Richmond, just considering, you know, this is a shorter track, so, you know, pace times are, you know, not quite as long as you see at some of the bigger tracks. So, you know, you might be limited, but you still want to get as much damage fixed as you can.
You want to definitely get all that damage fixed that you can under these cautions, right? I mean, they are basically free repair periods, and I don't think the damage is too much. I think he'll be able to get it all settled under the stage 1 caution, and if he can't get it settled under stage 1, he'll most certainly be able to get it under stage 2. There's no doubt about that. He'll be able to get all of that damage repaired in time. He just keeps on coming down pit road. You never know if he'll lose a lap or two, but we'll have to wait and see how that could play out as we get closer and closer to this stage 1 caution. And noticing as well that Dan Shamoon has been backing up just a little bit. In fact, this last time by, Dan Shamoon just about mashed Severa's lap times up the road. Bitts was 0.5 quicker that last time by as well. So makes you wonder, right, if the tires are really just kicking in that much and it's making these top 3 struggle. Maybe they burned them up trying to open up that 7-second gap with the guys behind, and they're all starting to struggle a little bit for pace here.
Well, then again, I mean, you know, yeah, I was getting ready to say myself, I mean, Severa's not slow right now, but Shamoon, he's been in clean air this whole time. I mean, I know this is a low downforce package. I mean, you know, he might be struggling because getting closer to Severa.
That's actually another fair point, right? I mean, while we are still on, you know, this low downforce, high horsepower package, these cars still do generate, quite a bit of dirty air. They have the aerodynamic properties of a brick moving at over 100 miles an hour pretty much. They are by no means meant, for aerodynamics and for overall speed, as you might find some other cars, like the Indy cars that once, I believe, raced at... No, actually, I'm thinking Iowa. Indy cars raced at Iowa once in a blue moon a long time ago. You can see no bits now. Still looking to apply some pressure on Dan Shamoon. I don't think it's going to happen, though. You got under 10 laps to go, and Shamoon is now starting to pull away. That last time by bits with a 22.8. That is the second. That actually is the second slowest time he has set all race long, save for his opening lap, which obviously was 5 seconds slower. Wouldn't really say that counts all too much. So at the moment, no bits. Starting to drop back from your current race leader, Dan Shamoon.
Yeah, a little bit further back here in the pack, sixth place Schaffner has managed to get by Kenny Powell, so definitely a good job on him, and he's coming right up here to Chris Johnson, so we could see some battling going on for those positions. I don't know if they're going to be able to make anything happen. Not a lot of racing left to go on this stage.
As you say, not a lot of racing left. There is only 7 laps to go, this time by at the line. Look a bit further back to Al Kozlowski, and I believe that's Joshua O'Connor in the number 39 U.S. Army machine. Looking good, ripping around that racetrack at the number 39 Ford Mustang with Kozlowski damaged just up the road with that rear-end contact from Chris Severa earlier on in this race. Powell's caught back up to Josh Schaffner, looking to look up the inside of 3 and 4. The 24 car is there and will get clear out of turn 4. And Powell is going to take the 6th spot back.
Yeah, definitely good job on his part. I mean, wow. So he must have made a mistake, or and that's how Schaffner must have gotten by him. And then he was just able to collect himself and get back into the rhythm and was able to work his way by him. And he might even have enough time to try to work on Chris Johnson here. He is running quick right now.
He certainly is. Kenny Powell seems to have that thing dialed in for the long run and is starting to catch up to Chris Johnson. Last time by 3/10 quicker than his G&G teammate. Oh, too deep on the brakes, though. Has to actually scramble out of the corner to avoid running over Chris Johnson. Look at the overspeed that Powell has. Gets cut off by Chris Johnson. Powell's going to switch back low. And with 4 laps to go in stage number 1, he'll look up the inside line, and I believe we'll be able to take that spot away. That will put Kenny Powell up into the top 5 here for stage 1.
Yeah, Kenny Powell's got himself a hot rod right now. I mean, I think he might even have something for 4th place. I don't know about the top 3, but we'll have to see. I mean, when these guys get this thing all settled, another stage, everything, reshuffle the deck. Never know what we could see here from Kenny Powell.
You saw Chris Johnson look back up the inside line. Nothing doing, though. Powell's doing a great job on covering off these runs. Pit road is closed with 2 laps to go. You're in stage number 1. And we'll continue to observe this battle between Chris Johnson and Kenny Powell as they get set to lock it out with what could be a thrilling fight here for the final spot inside the top 5 for stage number 1. Further down the order... further up the order. Dan Shamoon under fire from Noah Bitts for the race lead. I've been seeing Bitts trying to work the top side, trying to carry some more speed off the corners. Closes in so much down the straightaways. But this time by through 3 and 4. He is not going to get there. Dan Shamoon will hang on to win stage number 1.
Yeah, what a race from these guys. Noah Bitts really putting it all on the line there, running on that high side. Seems like he's still got a pretty good car underneath him. I mean, I think this top 3, I think they're all almost equal in a lot of regards.
Chris Severa just barely managed to stick on the lead lap there at the end of stage number 1. So your running order in the top 10 is Shamoon, then it is Bitts, Levine, Johnson, Powell, Chris Johnson, Josh Schaffner, Littleton, Hyde, and Wachinski to round out your top 10 of the field. It's a quick step away. We'll be back in a few moments.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Side as we came back from that commercial break. Drama on pit road. Justin Levine missed his pit box, stopped in there for all of about a second, and then, well, just drove on out without pitting. So he is now back down to pit road along with Chris Severa to try and see if he can maybe regain on some lost ground. So an interesting development for one of the frontline drivers and your now reigning champion, Brian.
Yeah, that definitely is bad for him. But, I mean, I can understand why that happened considering where his pit box is on pit lane. I mean, it's kind of exactly where it turns. You know, because this is a shorter track, I mean, they have to fit a lot of pit boxes on that pit lane. So it kind of goes around the corner, making it hard, you know, easy to miss that box. You know, unfortunate for him. That is going to be a big thing for him, but also it's going to be a big opportunity for guys like Brian Johnson and Kenny Paldo. They moved up some positions because of that.
And of course, I mentioned that Chris Severa was also coming back down to pit road. He also missed his pit box. He has now since exited that box and is now looking set to try to catch up to the tail end of the field. He just managed to stay on the lead lap at the end of stage number 1, but we got set to stack them up, double them up, and do it all over again for stage number 2, coming to the close right at halfway at lap number 100. Pace car to come around through 3 and 4. We get set to go back to green. And Shamoon drops it. You can see the bobble, though, for the 23 as he launches. That was not a best of starts from Shamoon, to say the very least. Bit of an understatement on that one, but still gets clear into turn number 1. Bits follows suit. Brian Johnson dropping a bit further back. The issues for Justin Levine moves Johnson up into 3rd place with Powell 4th, and Chris Johnson down in 5th. They look set to try to pull up to Noah Bitts to gang up on the front line 87, but so far Noah Bitts has so much speed and already looking to apply some serious pressure to Dan Shamoon for the race lead.
Yeah, I think they're continuing this battle from exactly where they left off in that last stage. As he looks underneath, Shamoon's going to cut him off, though, not going to give him the room to do what he wants to do. Definitely a little bit of urgency.
Get him here.
Able to get underneath, and it looks like he might be able to make this pass happen. Shamoon's going to try to keep him down as far as he can to check up that momentum. Big wiggle off of Shamoon there.
Had to back out as a result. This time, Shamoon goes up to the top side, trying to diamond off the corner, but that car is loose as heck. You can see it stepping the back end out almost every single lap. So if Dan Shamoon made an adjustment to that car under the caution period, it clearly is not working for him, as he has not been able to get that thing dialed in the slightest. Further down the order, Al Kozlowski is currently battling it out with Roy Hyde and Justin Levine. Levine's trying to work his way up through the middle of this field. Oh, Hyde hits the wall, and that caused Levine to scramble. Severa's going to pass him up as well into turn number 2. So Roy Hyde now has some major right front damage.
Yeah, that is going to be bad. Unfortunate for him, but good thing for Levine that he didn't really get into him. That was so close. And now Levine racing with Al Kozlowski. Hopefully they don't tango. And it looks like Levine doing very well on the top side. I mean, he's keeping his composure here. You know, he made a big mistake, but he's definitely looking forward right now, and forward is where he's going.
With that pass on Al Kozlowski, Levine puts himself now back up into 8th place on the track. Levine, of course, fell all the way back to 13th after he missed his pit box. Had to come around again under the stage 1 yellow. And now he is all over the back end of Brian Littleton, who's on his own trying to apply some pressure to Josh Schaffner up the road. And Littleton sends one up the inside of Schaffner through 3 and 4, but can't carry the momentum through the center of the corner. Well, actually, I say that. Gets the run he needed down the front stretch, and he'll be able to get one up on Schaffner into turn number 1. Pushed up for the apron slightly. Schaffner holds his ground and starts to pinch the 28 car down. And that leaves Levine with nowhere to go in the front line 19 Mustang.
I was about to say, I think these guys are racing each other. They need to be worried about Levine. Levine looking like he's going to try to get by Schaffner here. He might be, if he can get clear of Brian Littleton and get lower, I think he would be able to actually tussle with Schaffner, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen, materialize right now.
Oh, he's going to send one here, though, trying for turn 3. Not going to happen, though. I think Littleton did what he needed to hold Levine off, kind of makes that pass wait for one more lap. This time, though, Schaff is not even going to fight that one. He saw Levine coming, and he let him have it into turn 1. And sure enough, already clear by the time they exit off of 2, despite a huge bobble from Justin Levine. So Levine is through now to 6th place, looking set to pressure for the top 5. But you wonder now, without evenly matched he was with Noah Bitts and Dan Shamoon earlier in this race, right? Does he have the pace to work his way back up to that top group and fight for a Stage 2 victory?
I mean, I don't know. It's going to be kind of a tall order for him to be able to do that, but I mean, it's definitely within the realm of possibility. I mean, Noah Bitts right now is really benefiting from that clean air, but now Levine is getting ready to work his way into the top 5. He just got underneath Chris Johnson and makes that pass look easy.
Chris Johnson lifted off early for that corner. Just let Justin Levine have that one. Did not want to fight him too much, and understandably so, right? I mean, this is a guy that has been charging his way from 13th place, and he was 7 seconds ahead of you in the Stage 1, right? So, I mean, it makes sense you're just going to want to let it through because he's going to get his way one through another. And if you don't let it through, he's going to drive right through you. Here's Brian Littleton making a move on Josh Schaffner in the battle for 7th and 8th at the moment. Roy Hyde's waiting in the wings, seeing if he can maybe throw his hat in there as well and pick out one more spot if something goes wrong. So far, though, Littleton doing a good job on holding to the bottom. Schaffner trying to defend up top. You saw him trying to take that run away by pinching Littleton in off the turn 4 exit, but it hasn't gone quite the way he needed so far. I think Littleton pushed a bit more off the apron than Schaffner was expecting because you saw him kind of twitch a little bit into that second lane.
A little surprised that Roy Hyde's still in this, considering all that right front damage he's gotten. But yeah, they're still battling side by side right in front of him. Littleton, I mean, literally, they're just drag racing. I mean, this is a process that's going to take multiple laps apparently to come to a conclusion.
That's what a lot of passes at Richmond are like, right? It could take several laps to get clear. You really have to try to set your opponent up if you want to get it done quickly, or you're going to find yourself in a bit of a back-and-forth tussle like this, where the guy on the inside line is going to be so good through the center of the corner, through the lower end of the corner, but you're going to be able to carry the momentum around the outside line and pull ahead to keep you side by side. And that time round, outside wins. Schaffner takes the spot away finally from Brian Littleton. Just in behind, Chris Severa up the inside of Roy Hyde. And he'll take that spot away as well through turn number 4 down the front straightaway. Kozlowski thinking about a lunge in behind, but has to stamp on the brakes. Can't get there in time.
Yeah, that's one thing about it. You want to do what Chris Severa just did. Make that pass really quickly. Because the more you race side by side like that for several laps, the more you're probably burning up your tires, and the more you're allowing those guys behind you to catch up to you. Because, I mean, you mentioned how, you know, the guy on the bottom line is going to do better in the corner, but the guy on the top line is going to do better on, you know, in the straightaway. Well, guess what? Both of you are not doing your highest potential lap. You know what I mean?
Schneider finds the inside of Hyde. He squeaks through. So the run line number 8 Mustang is up another spot. I think that damage finally started to settle in for the number 13 as Wachinski will follow Schneider through 1 and 2 to pick up another spot. That bumps Roy Hyde now down to 13th. Second to last place on the grid, and Joshua Connor is just in behind. Might be looking to pounce as well to bump Roy Hyde down into last place. And here you can see Joshua Connor, right? I mean, he started this race down in 10th place. He was fighting for top 10 spots so consistently, and I got to be honest, I'm not sure, you know, what would cause O'Connor to be falling this far back. I have a feeling, though, might be another case, right? If you try to go and make an adjustment under the caution period, and it doesn't quite go your way, and O'Connor has suffered the consequences of that now.
And we were just talking earlier about Justin Levine, how you thought that maybe he had the chance to work his way up here, maybe win this stage. Well, the stage is about halfway complete now, and Levine is running some incredibly fast laps. He is tenths faster than everybody in front of him right now, and has gotten his way up to fourth, and is right behind Brian Johnson for third.
So Levine definitely looks like he might be getting set to potentially see if he can at least charge up and take a podium in stage number 2. We are over halfway, just in stage number 2 now, rounding lap 78 out of 200 at the moment. And Brian Johnson says, take it, Justin. Doesn't want to fight. Saw how quickly Levine was coming up, so he's going to stay high in 1 and 2 and allow Justin Levine to pick up a third position. Littleton having a fight against Chris Severa at the moment, who tried for the inside of 1. That didn't go anywhere, though. So still got these battles all the way up and down throughout the grid, right? And once again, the ISCA certainly not disappointed. Everywhere you look, you're going to have a battle somewhere on track.
100%. I mean, these guys battle really hard. I mean, and very clean, too. I mean, some great racing out here. I mean, a well-sought-after league. Everybody I talk to, they always say that this is where a lot of the best racing on iRacing is, to be honest with you.
Oh, you saw a bobble that time out of turn number 4, for Chris Severa. Up the inside of Littleton, heads up Kozlowski with a lunge from behind. So Al Kozlowski looking set to try to charge up as well. Littleton lets Severa have it out of 2. And just in behind, here comes the Speedway Angels G&G Chevrolet of Al Kozlowski. This time he'll find the inside of Brian Littleton through 1 and 2. Has to back out, though. You saw Littleton actually scrape the wall a little bit, I think, that last time by down the front straightaway. That cost him some valuable speed and compromises his entry to 1 and 2. Oh. But a bobble from Kozlowski sees Littleton hold on to the spot.
Yeah, that was a big bobble from Kozlowski. I'm surprised he saved that. Definitely a good job from him to be able to keep that car underneath him. And I'm sure the track has been cooling even further and further now. But, I mean, Kozlowski now battling back with Brian Littleton, so it ain't over yet.
I think it's pretty clear that at the moment Kozlowski is the faster of these two drivers. He's just been trying to find a way to see if he can power through and actually take the position. He's not taking as much room as he could out of these corners. That's what's caused him big time. But look at the charge up the inside line. So deep on the brakes. Oh, is that going to be contact? Just about. Littleton holds on, but Kozlowski was not having any of that. Push it in. That time, a bit of a hip check to the left rear of Littleton. Almost sent the 28 up the track. He held on. That allows Heath Schneider up the inside. An over-aggressive mistake from Kozlowski sees him now potentially lose a spot to front line.
That's one thing about this race, this racetrack. I mean, big contact there. Oh, Kozlowski looking like he was about to wreck Heath Snyder there, but luckily it did not happen. Greg Wachinski going to be able to get around. As you could tell, just with racetracks like this, emotions run high. I mean, that's that short track mentality coming into play. Patience runs out when you're sitting behind someone for a long time. I mean, sometimes you're willing to throw it in there.
A risky move there, and I think it might have been the case of both, right? Heath Schneider kind of came up across Kozlowski. Kozlowski had a bit more room to move it to the wall to avoid the contact, but no car got spun around, so I think at the moment we're just all kind of taking a bit of a no harm, no foul type approach to this one.
100%. I mean, you kind of have to just look forward. You can't really really reminisce over what just happened. You kind of got to look forward on sort of the rest of the race, figure out what you need, what that car needs, especially with that stage break coming up soon. And this is going to be probably one of the most important pit stops coming up soon. I mean, the adjustments you make here might be the last adjustments you do make.
And speaking of looking forward, Josh Schaffner is looking to see if he can look forward into the 6th position. You saw him just looking at the inside of Chris Johnson down the front straightaway, thinking about it as well for 1 and 2. Not going to happen, though, this time around, as well as that Kenny Powell has caught up to Brian Johnson in the battle for 4th place. You see the Toyota Camry, number 24, up the inside, or looking forward, at least on the Southern Spiral Pipe Chevrolet of Brian Johnson, the number 4 car, inside of 1. Powell, once again, just trying to find the inside line with the speed, but on these worn tires, it's not happening.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that guy that's higher, I mean, Johnson has the ultimate defending position in there up the top. I mean, Kenny's just not able to get the throttle down. I mean, that's just a big deal. The only way that Kenny's going to get past, I don't know, he gets past here. Looks like he's going to get that position done. I mean, wow. I'm surprised. I did not expect him to be able to make that pass that quickly.
Well, it helps when your teammate lets go, doesn't it? I mean, you saw Johnson break early for the quarter, so I think that kind of says all you need to know. I mean, these are two G&G teammates. It makes sense. They're not wanting to battle it out too hard with each other. Obvious, once again, Powell is faster driver, and no point battling with a teammate super hard, especially when neither of you are in contention for a points championship or even a points position with each other.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And, definitely nice of Johnson. I mean, it shows the respect between those two, that's for sure, as we see Josh Schaffner battling with Chris Johnson once again.
And this time, Schaffner has found the inside of Chris Johnson, 1 and 2. But Johnson looking to rip the top side. Josh Schaffner going to pull around and gets clear for 3. That will not stop Johnson from trying to fight around the outside line of 3 and 4. Look at Severa thinking about throwing his hat into the ring, but it's, again, just not quite going to happen. So Chris Johnson is going to be settling down to the 7th position for now. I think that might be where that 48 car is going to stay for the remainder of Stage 2.
Could be the case. We'll have to see. I mean, Severa has been impressing me. I mean, he hasn't been able to have what it takes to really make a pass here on Johnson, but you never know. I mean, he's definitely been persistent. It looks like Johnson goes a little bit high here. Trying to maybe defend against Severa getting that spot. But it looks like most of the battles out here pretty much have settled out. And this is pretty much where the closest fighting is right now.
It'll be 5 laps to go this next time by at start finish. Severa looking high then low. Johnson bobbles. Severa's got to run. He'll have the look down the inside of 3 and 4. And Johnson will give it to him. So Chris Severa up another one. Move Chris Severa into P7. Chris Johnson getting bumped down to 8th. Tell you what, there's a lot more action as we going on in stage number 2 than we saw in stage 1. The first 50 laps was more guys just trying to, I guess, get themselves with that first caution, see how the car was going to react. Now, though, that the track has raced in a bit more, and now that it has started to cool as well, we now look to see that these drivers are getting a bit more eager to race each other on the track, it would seem.
It does seem that way for sure, and it's crazy to think that we just saw Severa fighting to stay on the lead lap, and now he's up in 7th. I mean, that's quite crazy. Usually you see somebody fighting to stay on the lead lap. Probably going to be fighting to stay on the lead lap the next turn go around too, but apparently maybe the track conditions have changed in his favor.
Up the road, Noah Bitts is at the moment 2 seconds clear of Justin Levine, who has picked up 2nd place from Dan Shamoon. Meanwhile, while all this was going on, and this is a very interesting line, right? Noah Bitts running the outside lane, and it's the extreme outside line, right? And that is somehow working for him. Did they manage to put PJ1 compound on this track and only 87 can see it? Because I don't understand where he'd be getting all sorts of speed from that high up the racetrack, right?
Oh yeah, I agree totally. I mean, this is insane to see him doing this, and he's got a ton of speed up there. He's figured this place out for sure. He's figured out things that a lot of people out here have not figured out yet. I mean, he's still running faster than Levine. Again, I'm impressed with Kenny Powell. I mean, he's chasing down Dan Shamoon right now, even though the stage is now probably over. But I mean, there's a lot of speed and a lot of drivers out here. This has been an interesting race to watch.
And in fact, it is. Bitts will win stage number 2. And with that, we hit halfway in this race. So with Noah Bitts, your stage 1 winner, we'll take a stage 2 winner, excuse me. We'll take another quick step away, and we'll be back with your Butt Kicker midway race break when we return.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at TheButtKicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Pit stops presently underway here from Richmond. Bitts led them down. Unsurprisingly, he'll lead them off as well as a cone is sent into the shadow realm, and that will double, it would seem, as turn number 1 down on the bottom side. So Noah Bitts showing his displeasure for the color green, it would seem. Might not like the flag coming up for him in a few minutes.
I don't know. It seems like he's liked it so far. I mean, he's been doing a great job, Noah Bitts, for sure, and I don't know what that somebody I don't know what that cone did to him. I mean, what can a cone do to you? That's the question. But excited to see the rest of this race progress. Very excited to see how Noah Bitts does here. I mean, that was a tremendous amount of speed he showed there in stage 2. He showed speed all race really, but I mean it really came to him once he got that clean air. I'm curious if he's going to be able to maintain that. Pit sequences in this next stage are going to be really important, Nolan.
Let's take a quick rundown top to bottom of your current running order here in the ButtKicker 200 for the 2021 Season 4 season finale. No Bits, your race leader and Stage 2 winner, Justin Levine, reigning champion, is behind him in second. Shmoon sits third. Your Stage 1 winner with Kenny Powell in fourth. Josh Schaffner is fifth. Brian Johnson sixth. Severa seventh round at the top half of the field. But there it is Littleton, Wachinski, and Schneider to round out your top 10. O'Connor, Johnson, Hyde, and Kozlowski round out the 14-car field. Everybody still on the lead lap, which means cautions are quick here at Richmond. We're 1 to green.
Yeah, definitely not taking long here for this race. I mean, considering the only cautions we've seen has been on these stage breaks. So it's been some clean racing out there.
You wonder if this race will go green all the way through, right? I mean, the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, we had a couple of cautions in the first 2 stages. The Tucson Sounder Cup Series at the Fairgrounds, we saw a few cautions in Stage 3. Stands to reason we'll be getting at least one here in Stage 3 now as well, with it being almost 100 laps long. Green flag back out. Bitts leads them away. This time, no struggles down to turn 1.
And this will be a very important time for a caution to come out, because it could make it so these guys can make it to the end without having to worry about green flag pit stops, because this is going to be a tricky place to negotiate pit road on green flag pit stop. Oh, big! Justin Levine goes really high. What just happened?
Missed the corner, it looked like.
That looked like a tactical issue or something for a second.
Not quite, but close to it. The back end came around in 3. He almost overcorrected hard into the outside wall. Just kept it out, but that sends Levine all the way to crashing down the order. He's in 4th place, so he's already worked on Kenny Powell to take 3rd back across start finish. This time by Just Levine is through to 3rd on lap 108, and there's still double file further down the order. I'm looking at Littleton and Kozlowski. That battle just single filing out as Wachinski steps out of line.
Yeah, a lot of battling going on back here. Snyder making a move here, trying to get clear of Brian Littleton. Littleton not going to allow that. He's going to power around on the high side. I could have sworn we were about to see a caution here when I saw that from Levine. So it's been some scary stuff. We were just talking about cautions. Hopefully we haven't jinxed it.
If a caution comes out within these next 5 laps or so, drivers might be able to make it to the end of the race if they really save the fuel. The real question is going to be, right, what happens if a caution comes out with like 50 to go? You can definitely come on in and go, all the way to the end. But do you fill up the car all the way, or do you opt to take partial tank? As both Littleton and Schneider with some major moments out of turn 2. Kozlowski picks up another spot.
Yeah, big wobble there. A lot of these drivers. So, and you mentioned it earlier about cold tires. Well, I mean, the track's cold too, so probably not helping. It's gonna, make these guys struggle a little bit on the starts.
And heads up, Joshua O'Connor looking to battle his way back to the field. O'Connor spent most of Stage 2 riding around in 14th place, just all by his lonesome. Looks like the 39 U.S. Army Mustang, though, has found a little bit more speed underneath him. He's looking to set to try to push back through and pick up lost ground. Brian Littleton, though, going to have something to say about that one, though, trying to battle it out for 12th and 13th.
We also see a little bit of battling up here. I know Josh Schaffner and Brian Johnson and Chris Severa. A lot of fighting going on up here. These guys kind of running, single file, but they definitely any moment could make a pass. I know Severa's been very persistent on the back end of Brian Johnson.
And another driver still making progress is Justin Levine, who a little bit further up the road has just about caught Dan Shaboon for second place. There's about 2 tenths separating those two drivers. So you got battles picking up back of the field, middle of the field, front of the field. And once again, everywhere you look, you've got yourself a battle going on. And as we get set to come around, it won't be long before if Akash comes out, they'll be able to make it to the end on fuel, which definitely frees up your pit strategy options significantly.
100%. I think Noah Bitts is going to be really wanting Shamoon to give Justin Levine a hard time, because I think pace-wise, I think the only person that has anything for Noah Bitts here tonight is probably going to be Levine, and Bitts is going to want to see him have a little bit of trouble with Shamoon.
Still watching Schaffner and Brian Johnson with Chris Severa just waiting in the wings as well. This is the battles at the moment for the final spot inside the top 5, with Brian Johnson trying to look up the inside of Schaffner for the 5th position. And in this groupment as well, right, is Chris Severa, who has made up the most spots out of anybody so far today, +5, where he started down in 12th after not setting a qualifying lap earlier in the session.
Chris Severa looking to try to go underneath Brian Johnson here.
And he'll take that one away through 3 and 4. Side by side, Johnson's looking to battle with him, though, into turn number 1. I think Severa will just have the leg up on this one, though. I mean, Severa on the shorter runs has shown he is the car to beat. And sure enough, Severa is through now to 6th. See now what Severa can do in the battle for 5th place. And right about here at the line, that is your threshold, right? If Akash comes out now, drivers can come on down to pit road, and they're going to be good on gas at the end of this race.
Yeah, definitely. Now the game really starts. I mean, when do you pit? It's going to be a question. I mean, so you said 160 to 170. You think that would be the good call?
If you're wanting to come down on to get some more fuel, I think, yes, around 160 to 170 might be optimal. Might be seeing some guys stopping maybe around 150 to try to gamble on some fresher tires, make them on some ground, and try to fend off the guys on fresher rubber that pit after them a little ways further down the order. Would it be the first time we've seen that? It'd almost be a regular thing, right? Seeing guys stop earlier than we think they will just to get the advantage of fresh tires, in which case I'd say maybe 140 even, as early as that, if you want to go for the tire strategy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know, though. Tires wear so much at this racetrack. I mean, they've only been running about 20 laps so far, and they're already falling off at least, probably half a second or more. So, I don't know. I mean, short pitting like that might not be worth it if the tires fall off that much. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, I've been proved wrong before. I feel like waiting a little bit longer, like you said, maybe 60. I think that might actually be a good number, because you'll come out with a little bit of fresher tires, and you might not have to worry about that as much.
The problem, of course, is then going to be keeping the guys on fresher rubber behind you, especially, after they pit about 10 laps later. So, because already we've been seeing, 10-lap fresher tires. Well, we haven't actually seen it on track, right? I mean, everybody's pit strategies have been basically mirrored. Everybody's been coming down on the stage cautions in the past minutes so far. You haven't seen any real movers and shakers of the pit strategy so far, but you compare the lap times, right? And that's...
Contact, Heath Snyder!
Saves it! Schneider's through. Oh, maybe not, though. Johnson runs over Kozlowski now that the caution flies. And that was because it all got checked up. It started with Wachinski, and Heath Schneider nose-to-tail contact, and Schneider was run over. Kozlowski went up high, and Chris Johnson tried to shoot the gap, and Schneider came up. Andrew was left over to go and drove it to the side of his own teammate.
Yeah, I felt like Heath Snyder could have kept it down there. I mean, he just saved it. I don't think he would want to get right back into the action, especially those guys were fighting so hard. I don't know. I mean, short track mentality coming into play there. Luckily, I don't think a lot of damage was given out there.
But it is important to remember, right, that you're still going at 80 miles an hour. It's very hard to keep you down to the apron, especially an apron as small as that. As soon as you hit the transition, it just sucks you right up. I honestly think more falls on Chris Johnson. That caution. I mean, you at some point have to use a bit of your head, right? And I think there was not really. That was not the time to try to go up and make an extra pass, right? Wait a little bit to make sure that all gets sorted out. And Kozlowski just happened to be the innocent bystander there. Shout out to Roy Hyde, who had to lock it down and come to a full stop to avoid getting into the 88 car as well.
Oh, wow,
plays out, though. And well, what did I say, right? I mean, that time, if we see a caution come out, we're still early in that run, only 23 laps. Everybody's in so far, though, because you're probably not going to get another yellow. Best make sure at least good to the end on fuel.
And you know what this really means, though? These guys are going to be pushing these cars to the limit. To do a fuel run, I mean, we've only seen like a 50-lap run from these guys. So this is going to be kind of a hairy situation. We've never seen this kind of a run.
You asked earlier in the race, what did that cone ever do to Noah Bitts? Well, whatever it was apparently bad enough that he put a hit out on it, and Kenny Powell took up the hit and kind of double-tapped the cone onto turn 1 that time by. About the same place I landed the last time.
I think they're playing like, what was it, how you play football with the paper and you flick it? I think that's what they're doing with that cone.
We're trying to see who can get it to the wall and then bounce it down close to the apron furthest.
Yeah, I guess they're different points, I guess. And nobody's racing for a championship right now. They're racing for a championship, or they're playing football with the cone or whatever.
They made a little bit of a bet. Kenny Powell would get an extra. Well, actually, now think about it. It would be Clayton Hoffman that would have to get those points. But we can say Kenny Powell would get himself an easy about 100 or so points. That would put him significantly further up in the point standings. Of course, in this one, it would mean that he would find himself not down to 7 at the moment. He would actually find himself up in 3rd.
I'm sure he wouldn't mind that.
Oh, I don't doubt it. At the moment, I mean, Josh Schaffner sits 3rd place. And Schaffner, we haven't talked about Schaffner a whole lot this race in terms of points, have we? He's actually 3rd place in the points at the moment, 113.5 behind Justin Levine. It's about 60 points off from Clayton Hoffman, but he's also about 30 points to the good from David Phillips II, who isn't present. So, realistically, nobody's able to contend with Schaffner for 3rd place. He's got that position locked away.
Yeah, I'm surprised Phillips didn't show up tonight to try to get those positions in the standings there. Yeah, it just seems like a bad. I think like you mentioned it before. These guys had last week off for Thanksgiving. I think a lot of these guys are busy with holiday stuff going on.
And the green flag flies. We're underway once again for the ButtKicker 200 from the Richmond Raceway. This time, though, a horrible start for Shamoon sees him lose 2nd place to Justin Levine. Now, look at that with a charge from Shamoon up the bottom.
This is going to be bad.
Off the apron. Keeps it out of Levine, but only just. Now he's sideways, though, out of turn 4. 3 wide into turn number 1 with Severa and Powell. This could get tight in a hurry. Dan Shamoon trying to hold it to the bottom side. Chris Severa working the outside line. Kenny Powell pinned up against the outside wall. Severa's got nowhere to go. They're still 3 abreast through 3 and 4, and now I think Powell he's not going to bail out. They're still 3 wide down the front straightaway.
This is insanity right now. How have they not wrecked?
And just there, finally, Powell yields to the outside line. Severa pinching in Shamoon, though, and another bobble for Shamoon. Gives Powell the jump he might need to look up the inside for 3. Thought about it. Decided there was not a point in going for a position like that. And now, Shamoon is struggling so much, so loose on corner exit as he has been all night long. And that is starting to cost him heavily here. It just cost him a podium. It might cost him the top 5 if you can't get that thing settled.
You see Chris Severa also got really, really loose there right in front of Shamoon, but he's able to hold his ground. I am shocked that Shamoon has kept it going. I mean, he is very, very loose. He's now going to be looking underneath Brian Johnson here.
That will be a potential position gain for Schneider, but it doesn't look like it. As a matter of fact, Johnson is doing such a good job of holding the outside line, and that is something that Johnson is good at, right? He is a great driver on defense. He does not let anything pass him. He doesn't want it to get past him, and sure enough, Schneider's got to tuck back in line. Still looking to force the issue, though, on the bottom side. I think we'll just be able to keep the nose in for 3. Still there, not quite clear, but I tell you what, Brian Johnson, I think he's going to be able to hold it to that spot easily.
Yeah, I think this is actually might even be helping out Greg Wachinski here as he's getting a run around the outside of Heath Snyder.
And up the road, you saw Powell make the move on Chris Severa. That will put Powell up into the spot now into 4th. And we'll continue to watch this battle develop between Heath Schneider and Brian Johnson just in behind. That number 8 frontline machine is the furthest back running of the frontline drivers at the moment. And it's unusual to see a frontline car so far down the order, even in a 14-car field, right? I mean, Heath Schneider back here with guys like Greg Wachinski, Brian Johnson. Usually you're used to seeing them up front with the Shamoons, with the Mannings, with the Levines. It's uncommon to see a frontline car so far down the order, right?
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, just might be struggling here tonight so far, but I don't know. He's starting to make some headway on Brian Johnson. Looks like he's going to get clear here. He has made that happen, and now Greg Wachinski's looking under Brian Johnson.
So G&G teammates looking to battle now for 9th and 8th. And Johnson once again holding his defensive line, holding the outside. Has to swing a bit further wide to avoid Schneider as he had to break a bit earlier to make sure he can make the corner from the bottom. Wachinski, I think, will just be able to hold strong here. Could be a tough one, though, right? I mean, Greg Wachinski, he is a driver who, shall I say, has had some interesting moments throughout his ISCA career, his very long ISCA career, and his career always remains to be an interesting one to look at, right? I mean, he is so consistent at giving us some thrilling battles, especially in the midfield.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's definitely, every time I've seen him, he's usually doing pretty well in the mid-pack. I mean, we've seen him go up front a time or two, so he's definitely got some chops behind him. But can he tussle with Brian Johnson? We're going to have to wait and see here. I mean, Johnson has been able to very well defend.
So I think now I have another bigger ticket question for you, right? You're already 15 laps on these tires. You have 60 to go. You're going to be putting 75 laps on these tires before the end of this race.
Oh, maybe not. Schaffner. Yellow flag is out. Schaffner heavy into the outside wall there.
Schneider threw it in too deep. Back end kicked down, and it was rear tire to rear tire contact that kicked Schaffner around. There you saw the leap, and just overcorrected, and that sends 50 head on into that outside wall.
Yeah, luckily no one else got caught up in that, but that is going to be bad for Schaffner. I mean, we just talked about him being 3rd place in the points. Does that change that at all?
It shouldn't. I mean, he's still about 25, 30 points to the good from David Phillips II, who isn't present, about 30 points clear from Littleton. So there's not even enough cars on the track for that to be a factor.
Now, the question really is, are all these guys going to be pitting?
I just saw Kenny Powell and Chris Severa have a huge moment trying to dive out of pit road, and it was a close moment. They both about hit the pit wall and each other in that one. If we could get another look at that, that might be something to look for, because goodness gracious, it was a bit too close for comfort. I know Johnson is down to pit road. Same story with Wachinski. Chris Johnson and Schaffner are also in. We'll take another look at what happened to Kenny Powell here. This is entering pit road. They both went for the fake out. One went a bit later than the other, though, and watch what happens here. Severa's faking out as Powell fakes in, and they almost collide and go into the pit wall.
Yeah, I bet they would have felt pretty silly if that had happened.
So I think now, I'm going to go back to the question I was going to get on before we saw Schaffner getting turned around by Schneider in turn 1. You're going to be putting 75 laps on these tires by the end of the race, right? So what's the call on the tire strategy? You're good for fuel until the end of this race, right? But do you want to put 75 laps on these tires at this track that is known for destroying right side tires, especially with how loose people have been getting all night long?
I mean, it might be worth it. I mean, I don't think it'd be worth it just to pit for tires. I really don't. I'm surprised that more guys didn't try to pit this during this caution. I mean, you're not guaranteed another caution after this. I feel like some guys are banking on another one because, I mean, they already have 18 laps on these tires already.
Speak of the devil, You do have 4 drivers that did come down to that last caution. Both the Johnson brothers came down, along with Greg Wychinski and Josh Schaffner. So there's a little bit of a tidbit for you. So you're going to have 4
Good
guys
payoff.
on. Oh, hello. O'Connor also making a trip down to pit road, as I have just noticed. And actually, even
last
more,
minute decision there.
well, actually, even more interesting, what I'm just noticing here is that Josh Schaffner came down a second time. I think to maybe top up on some fuel.
Well, and also, Schaffner just did get involved in an accident. He's probably trying to fix some of that.
Ah, yes. I don't know how I forgot about that so soon.
We haven't seen enough accidents tonight, apparently, to remember them.
I do want to point out we are down to 13 cars on not just the late lap, but on the race service as well. About 18 laps to go. This was under the last caution flag we had. Al Kozlowski pulled down to pit road and retired the car. So just forgot to give a quick mention to that. So Al Kozlowski becomes our first official retirement of the night. Only 16 laps under the caution flag so far, but will it be the last?
Since a lot of these guys did not pit, I kind of feel like it might be the last. I mean, usually when you count on a caution to come, it does not happen.
Well, you got the bottom 4, make it 5, that have all come down to pit road, and they're now on fresh rubber.
They're going to be in good position. They are going to be in great position with fresh tires. I mean, this is going to work out well for them.
17 lap fresher tires. First time seeing this all night long. Let's see if that's a strategy that could play off in the long run. Pace car's down to the end. Bits leads him to the green. A great launch, though, from Levine, trying to fight back into turn 1. Not going to happen, though. Shamoon side by side with Powell for the 3rd spot through 1 and 2. Shamoon trying to push up and clear, but already twitching, and Powell's going to pull around and potentially get clear. Not quite. Shamoon still fighting back through 3 and 4.
A lot of side-by-side racing action going on right here. Kenny Powell and Shamoon really just drag racing here. Levine tried his best to get something going on Bits, but Bits has just been phenomenal here tonight. It looks like Shamoon's going to get clear here. Severa and Snyder are racing here. Snyder throwing it in. He tried to make something happen on Powell. Oh, looked like he's so close to coming down on Severa. That was really close.
Heath Schneider looking to be fighting aggressively. Heads up for Brian Johnson, charging through the field, side by side with Littleton. He's the furthest out driver on fresh rubber at the moment, and he is using all of it to full force. Brian Johnson clears for 7th place. Wychinski looks to follow. Now, up the inside of Schneider, going for 6, trying to charge down for a top 5. Oh, but he almost gets hooked by Schneider. That would have been a disaster.
That could have been terrible. Luckily, that did not, materialize there. But just look at how much these tires have been worth it. I mean, that's why I was saying I was shocked that no one else took tires. Only those 5. Look at Johnson right now. I mean, he is driving his way through this field. He is about faster than everybody. I think the only person that's faster than him right now is Noah Bitts in the clean air. But I think Johnson's being held up a little bit, too, by a lot of these other drivers. Even though new tires, you're still limited by you can't just drive through guys,
I mean, you can drive through guys, but your green flag runs aren't going to last very long if you do that.
The new tires are literally going to not be beneficial to you anymore when you cause a caution and everybody else is pitting.
Especially with all the damage you're going to get as a result. Oh, look at Severa trying to fight back on Brian Johnson. So G&G looking to want to battle with each other. You see Brian Johnson now has caught Kenny Powell. That's the battle for 4th. Powell's not going to give it easily. Oh, maybe he will. Powell moving up to the outside line, gives Johnson the bottom. Johnson's clear for 4th, and now with a bit of clean air, he's set to try to charge up to the top 3. We'll see what those fresh tires really do. Now he's got some room to work with.
Yeah, I think it's going to do him well. I mean, if someone comes up on you in fresh tires at Richmond here, and they're 17 lap fresher tires, I'm pretty sure everybody should let them go. I mean, there's no way you're going to contend with something like that. And like you said, otherwise it might, end up in a wreck. Wychinski, big move here on the inside of Kenny Powell also. And I think he must be another one of those guys that took tires.
Comparing lap times with your race leader, Brian Johnson, no bits, ran at 22.056. Brian Johnson at 21.981. So Brian Johnson's about a 10th quicker than the overall race leader, Noah Bitts at the moment on that fresh rubber, which means he is most certainly faster than Shamoon and Levine, who you can see is really starting to apply pressure to now.
Yeah, this has been interesting. You know, we talk about, you know, usually a caution kind of takes away the strategy. Well, I don't know. I think it really amped it up, to be honest with you, because now we're getting to see Brian Johnson drive through this field. What a spectacular run for him. What is a spectacular decision for him to take that, you know, that pit stop there.
It all depends on when the caution comes out, right? And I have a feeling that Shamoon up to the top side, letting Brian Johnson take the bottom, if I heard that correctly over the driver's radio. But it depends on when the caution comes out, right? If that caution came out like about 20 laps later, of course everybody else is going to be down, and we wouldn't have had the strategy. The fact that it came out so early, though, is what threw that question into the air, right? Do I come in for tires or do I stay out? I think people opted to stay out, thinking there might be another early caution that they could take advantage of. That has not been the case. And if at this point, if a caution comes out and I'm Brian Johnson, I'm coming back down to get tires anyway, because that way I'm not going to be outclassed by other guys on fresh rubber now that I know how good they are.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think this is proof positive for the other guys out there that I bet they're kicking themselves that they didn't take tires like they did.
Still a lot of racing left. We're coming to 41 laps to go this next time by. That is more than enough time, though, for Brian Johnson to close up to Noah Bitts. Even while being overtaking Dan Shamoon that last lap by, still a 10th quicker than Noah Bitts and a 10th and a half quicker than Justin Levine.
And we talked about... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
It was a 22.28 for Johnson the last time by, 22.37 for Levine, and a 22.30 for Noah.
And we talked to, you know, about Greg Wychinski earlier about how he was, you know, a good mid-pack driver. Well, now he's up in the front, 4th place right now, and he's running faster than Johnson. So, I mean, could Wychinski get him a top 3 here tonight?
The possibility is very there. I mean, Wychinski has been holding pace with Brian Johnson. He's even closed in a bit to Brian Johnson this last little while. So Wychinski looking set for a possible podium finish here. If they both get by Levine, that's basically certainty if no caution comes out. Oh, Johnson sideways out of 4. Pushed it a bit too hard that time by, but Wychinski not going to force the issue. He is going to force the issue, I think, and Johnson's going to give it up to him. Wychinski to the podium.
I mean, Wychinski could win this race. Could very well happen. We'll have to wait and see. But this is being exciting. I mean, and one thing we got to consider too. I mean, they are on newer tires, but the thing is, if they've been driving a lot harder, they could equalize themselves with these other guys by the time they catch up there to Bitts.
Wychinski's just got to nail these lines. At the moment, they still have the potential to be faster than those guys up the road, but Wychinski bottled 3 and 4 the last time through, and that cost them a 10th of a second up to the guys in front instead. This time, 22.3 for Wychinski, 22.48 for Levine, 22.44 for Bitts. So once again, Wychinski logging times a second faster. You see the lap times right there, left side of the screen. That is the difference from 3rd place to 2nd. From fresh tires to 17-lap older tires. At the moment, these guys behind on the fresh rubber, their tires now 22 laps old. Bitts and Levine's 39, going to be 40 laps old this next time by.
And still have a long way to go. So, I mean, you remember earlier you were talking about these guys are going to put 75 laps on their tires. Well, they're not even, you know, they're halfway through that 75 pretty much.
I think it was a mistake not to come down for tires, seeing how fast these guys are. Although that being said, Noah Bitts, we know how good he is over the long run, right? That's where his car really starts to come into play. When everybody else is fading off and trying to conserve, that's when Noah Bitts starts to push. So Bitts might have a 10th of a second or so in his back pocket yet that he can use if he needs to.
And now Greg Wychinski starting to put a lot of pressure on Justin Levine. Looks like he's going to look underneath. So that's going to be for 2nd here.
Levine's going to fight this one out, though, and look at the run Levine's got from the top side to the outside lane. Still working for him all the way up to the wall in 3 and 4. Wychinski's clear. Slides up. Levine's going to fight back, though, down the inside.
I don't know how that's going to work, though. I think Wychinski should have some speed off the he just has more bite in his tires. I mean, I don't know. But, I mean, Levine is putting up a good fight right now.
And you can see Wychinski
getting a little tight, though. getting a little tight on him.
What Wojcinski's got to start doing, right, is start pinching in Justin Levine to take away that run out of these corners. He's not doing that. He is giving Levine too much room to push up and power off these corners. That's what's
contact
allowing
with the wall there from Johnson.
A little brush to the wall. That might impact the performance of the number 4 car. That's what you got to do. You saw what Wojcinski did right there. He pinched Levine, took away the run out of 4, and just now finally gets clear.
I think he's listening to the broadcast. I think he heard you say that.
But now, 1.2 seconds to Noah Bitts. Is there enough time for him to run him down?
There's enough time, but I mean, he really has to hit perfect laps every time and not have to have these guys pressuring him behind him. I don't know. I think Bitts is in that position now. He hasn't had to really work that hard. And like you said, at this point in the race, his car is getting better and better.
And I think at the moment, Brian Johnson is going to be wanting to try to apply all sorts of pressure to Levine, right, to keep him out of Greg Wojcinski's bumper, to allow his GNG teammate the space he needs to try to pull through and steal a race win away. Comparing lap times, once again, 22.660 for Bitts, 22.563 for Wojcinski. Again, 10th quicker. Wojcinski just needed that clean air.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it can be pretty anxiety-inducing when you got, a champion literally trying to fight with you, Justin Levine,
Look at that. That's interesting to me. Look at the lap times this time around. They actually both slowed down by pretty much exactly a 10th of a second. But they're still a 10th separating each other on the lap counters.
That's crazy.
6.53 to a 7.32.
Wow, what a job Wojcinski has done. I mean, hadn't been doing the best this whole race, but just a little bit of strategy. I would say, courage, gumption to make a call that's different than what the majority are doing. And look where he's at. He's reaping the rewards.
And I might do a good old commentator's curse here, but I'm going to dare to ask the question. What happens if we get a late race caution?
That's true. I mean, that would really deflate that balloon. That's for sure.
I think it's safe to say Bitts would be in to get tires, no question about it. I think it's safe to say everybody would be in to get tires since they've been out there for over 30 laps now on this latest run.
But that would put everybody on the same page, and Levine has been really, really strong this whole time. So I think Johnson and Greg Wojcinski, they would be in trouble. That's for sure. Because I mean, considering their advantage is these newer tires. As Wojcinski is hoping a no caution comes out because he's still running them down. I mean, almost a 10th that last lap, but I think it is starting to balance out.
We'll continue to watch this gap ebb and flow as this race goes on. Just dipped under a 10th of a second there, so that fight for the lead not over by a long shot. This is, of course, the season finale in the 2021 ButtKicker Cup Series for season number 4 of 2021. We, of course, do follow the A-Open schedules when NIS is not running. When NIS does run, we tend to follow those schedules, of course. Now, however, since Week 13 is coming up this next time around, there will not be an official race. It'll be more of a fun little race for all the guys at home. How about Gen 7 cars, or I guess next-gen cars, whatever you want to call them nowadays, right? People still call them next-gen. Some would call them Gen 7. Current gen, I think current gen at this point is fair to say, right? I mean, the real season's over. You're going to them this next season. Let's just call them Gen 7.
We're not going to see
Gen 7
we're not going to see any more Gen 6 races. I mean, not in NASCAR at least, but
yeah, it'll be the Gen 7 cars, though. They'll be racing at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the ISCA ButtKicker Cup Series in 1 week's time. Just be a fun little race. See how those cars shape up at 1.5 miles nowadays. We had one already way back when. It was at Homestead Miami Speedway. This time around, it'll be at Vegas. So preparations continue to start to make that switch over, which will be taking place at the ISCA as soon as iRacing makes the official switch for their A-Open Series or NIS Series to the these new Gen 7 cars as well. And if you're wanting to get in on either the Thursday night ButtKicker Cup Series or the Saturday night Tucson Sounder Cup Series, just get in touch with Kenny Powell from the ISCA Stock Car Association. He'll be more than happy to help get you all set up. And want to give a huge shout out as well to ButtKicker for once again supporting the ISCA for our Thursday Night Cup Series, and also being the name of tonight's race as well, the ButtKicker 200 from the Richmond Raceway. And want to give a shout out as well that you can also get 20% off on all ButtKicker products at ButtKicker.com by using the promo code ISCA20. Once again, that's ISCA20 at ButtKicker.com for 20% off on all ButtKicker products. And speaking of 20, under 20 laps to go, and Wojcinski still reeling in bits, under half a second from first and second place.
There is some other battling going on. I see Josh Schaffner and Brian Littleton fighting for 10th right now.
Just saw Shamoon as well pull around Chris Johnson in the battle for 5th and 6th. It's kind of fallen apart for Shamoon, hasn't it? I mean, he was fighting up there, got the stage 1 win, but he did not follow through on the pit call everybody else made, and, well, he's your pole sitter earlier tonight. He's struggling just to stay in the top 5 at the moment.
Yeah, he's definitely been struggling. I think that really is the conditions of the track. I think he had that car set up for a little bit of a hotter racetrack, and when it started turning dark, it really changed everything for him and just wasn't able to keep up. Oh, big wiggle there for Greg Wojcinski. He lost a lot of time.
Yeah, you saw it too. Sideways out of turn 2. That cost him 0.6 of a second. And lets Levine back up the inside. That might be the nail in the coffin for Wojcinski's bid on trying to go for a race win. As Levine gets through, he'll be trying to play spoiler here for Wojcinski to try to keep him behind and keep him away from Noah Bitts, who's now over a second up the road. All that work that Wojcinski put in to try to run down Noah Bitts over the last 30 laps, gone in a heartbeat.
Yeah, that's definitely, it's sad to see it. Be honest with you, I was rooting for Wojcinski. I was like, go! I mean, I'm definitely rooting for Noah Bitts, too. I mean, he deserves to get him a win for sure. He's had such a dominant race. I mean, he was so fast in Stage 1. I know Shamoon won Stage 1. But, I mean, near the end of that, Bitts was pressuring, Shamoon quite a bit. Stage 2 was just utter domination. And of course, now Stage 3. Noah Bitts, this has been his race to lose.
And I was correct. Looking at the lap times that last time by, Wojcinski was even with Noah Bitts. So that slide stagnated the tires, and Wojcinski not benefiting anymore from the fresher rubber. There's not nearly enough time to run that gap back down. Bitts has to drive clean, and he'll find himself with a race win in the finale of 2021.
Definitely got to do good for him. I mean, especially momentum coming into the next season, or, definitely got to be a confidence builder. And Wojcinski, I mean, even though he made, a mistake there, had that bobble, wasn't able to get the race win. I mean, he's still up in 3rd right now. Still, I mean, he could, not finish 3rd, but, I mean, he's still there right now. If he could just keep it together, be a good finish for him. Definitely be good for momentum into his, future also.
It's those little split-second mistakes, right? You step on the throttle a few feet too early, you get a bit too overzealous, you even apply just a touch more throttle than you should, and it just shatters your chances for a win. It is astounding, how excruciating it is to try to work your way up little by little, 10th by 10th, over these gaps, and then how much it can just fall apart, so quickly.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's got to be somewhat disheartening, and when you're, he was up to 5/10, 4/10 right there behind. Noah Bitts was really starting to maybe put some pressure on him, and that even could be it too. Why he started struggling bad there too. I mean, because the closer he gets, the more the less downforce you get, or the more dirty air you're going to have to deal with. So I mean, that could also be why he had that mistake. Also, just wasn't used to how that air felt, getting closer to Bitts.
You're on board with Levine, and Bitts is opting for his slot track line, I guess we could say, right? That's the line you might see somebody running on a slot car version of the Richmond Raceway from. So Levine is tucked in line. He's taking the more traditional route around the track. Enter high, exit low, or enter high, mid-corner low, exit high again. Bitts is just taking the high lane all the way around.
This is getting interesting, though. I mean, Levine is getting real close to Noah Bitts right now.
And the main issue at the moment is obviously the fact that Noah Bitts is just able to pull so much speed on quarter X because he's taking such a high line that he's able to fend him off. Oh, trouble behind! Jamu gets into it with Powell.
Oh, my
And
word.
it's a big wreck. There's the late race caution I was talking about earlier, Brian.
Why did you have to jinx us? Man, that is unfortunate there. I mean, it's actually fortunate for some guys, though. It's going to really give them a chance to get back in it. Let's see exactly what happened here, though.
Powell passed him in 3 and 4. Schmoot crossed him over and just missed the breaking point too deep, and Powell just has nothing he can do. That might put us into Green White Checker territory here.
I'd be curious to see how that happened.
How about this? Wachinski staying out while Frontline comes in. And in fact, all of G&G is staying out. O'Connor stays out.
Oh.
Severa's in with Powell. This is going to get real interesting here real quick. First, second, and will be third, fourth, and fifth, all staying out. Everybody else is in for tires.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be very interesting. And looking through the cockpit camera, Dan Shamoon in that incident, he definitely was trying to turn down to not hit Kenny Powell, but for some reason that car just went straight up.
Well, you talk about wanting to finish the season and the year in a dramatic fashion, right? And, well, what better way than a green-white checkered finish at a road course with the top 5 are on 55-lap molded tires than everybody else behind you.
Oh, my word.
Oh, boy.
I bet Noah Bitts feels like he's about to go across a minefield, literally.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, because I believe the ISCA has 1 green-white checkered attempt per race. I'm going to go out on a limb and say we're probably not going to be seeing the white flag. We're probably going to be seeing another yellow.
Well, I mean, we don't see a lot of green-white checkers in ISCA, to be honest with you, do we?
No, not anymore. I mean, I remember back when, you might get a few of them every now and again, but I think it's honestly been about over a season since we've actually had a green-white checkered finish.
What a way to end it, then, with a green-white checkered.
Green-white checkered finish with the top 5 all on old tires. The top 3 are in the same team on the same tires.
We go ahead and get the chalkboard that says, how many days since last incident. We'll go ahead, we put that on 0.
And there it is. Race has been extended to overtime. Green-white checkered, 1 attempt. So there will be 2 laps in this season. This ends either with the green and then a white, or the season and the year ends behind the pace car.
Do you know what's insane about this right now? Greg Wachinski, Brian Johnson, Chris Johnson, Josh O'Connor, all those guys are on 55. That is insanity.
Yeah.
That is just now getting way, and it's almost like, it's just now settling now that is insane. There's no way they're going to be able to hold off these guys on fresh tires.
We were just talking about, pit gambles under the last caution, right? Well, Greg decided to go say, hold my beer, watch this. He's gambling. He's gambling the other way around. He gambled once, it worked out for him. Is it going to work out a second time, though? I mean, you can't put the odds too many times in your favor.
I don't think the odds are too great. This is a 1 in a million type of thing right here. 55 lap. The only way I think you can hold off these guys is if you just literally wreck them. But this is going to be interesting. Maybe he's expecting, it to end prematurely. A caution to come out. Because I mean, if those guys, behind him, the top 5 they're going to act as a cushion for Greg Wachinski. So it could work out.
Pace car's off. It's a huge one from Wachinski. Green flag's out. Johnson spins sideways, slides sideways, but we keep it steady here. Off and away into turn number 1. 2 laps. Oh, Shamoon's into the wall. Takes Littleton with them, but they managed to keep it steady. Still going to be side by side. They make contact, sliding all over the place. They're wrecking almost on the back straight, but they keep it steady. Can we make it to the white flag? Coming out turn 4. If they're not going to get there, the caution comes out. And Wachinski gambles for the race win, and it's going to caution, and he'll take it in overtime.
Oh my God. Greg Wyszynski just won this race on 55 lap old tires. That just happened.
It was an absolutely chaotic restart. It all kicked off in turn one. Shamoon overshot the brake point, made the same mistake that brought out the last caution. That put himself in Littleton into the outside wall. From there on the back straightaway, Johnson got into it with Heath Schneider, and that got Shamoon back into it with Roy Hyde. And then Schneider sent it in, took out Chris Johnson in turn number 4. And that incident right there, that hip check, is what puts us under the caution flag. And Greg Wyszynski has officially taken the checker flag as well.
And there's a lot of congratulations. There's a lot of congratulations going on out there. Greg Wyszynski getting a lot of love.
What a way to end the season in quite possibly one of the most dramatic fashions you could possibly see on a racetrack. It's like a run now through your post-race results. Wyszynski burns it down to the front straightaway. He wins the race on 56-lap-old tires from Brian Johnson just in behind. Bitts recovered all the way from 6th up to 3rd. Severa is 4th with Levine 5th. Schaffner 6th. O'Connor 7th. Littleton 8th. Roy Hyde 9th. Shamoon rounds out your top 10. Then it's Heath Schneider, Chris Johnson to round out cars on the lead lap. Kenny Powell, 6 down. One of 2 retirements on the day. He pulled it off, along with Al Kozlowski. I'm at a loss for words.
Oh, yeah. I guarantee you Noah Bitts is at a loss for words right now, too. I bet he's like, dang it. Imagine that, leading the whole race and having something as crazy as that happen there. But Greg Wyszynski definitely, I'm happy that he won that thing. I mean, we were rooting for him whenever he was catching up to Bitts earlier in the race. I mean, wow. Who would have known it would have went like that? I mean, 2 gambles from Greg Wyszynski, and it worked out in both cases. How does that even happen? I mean, wow. I'm about to go play the lotto tonight. I'm going.
Couple drivers are standing by to give us a bit of a chat. We'll start things off with 3rd place finisher Noah Bitts, all the way for Wyszynski to work his way up into victory lane. Noah Bitts, you finished off 3rd place, and what a chaotic restart to end the race as well. You avoid all the carnage that happened in the back portion of the field and bring it home 3rd on the podium.
Yeah, it was a fun race. Congrats to Greg. Should have been better, but what do you do? Make stupid mistakes sometimes.
I have to say, I'm going to address something that I think is an elephant in the room. What was that line you were running? Like, you were running the high line to the extreme. I've never seen anybody do it at Richmond, much less make it pay off as much as you were making it work in the longer runs there.
Yeah, I knew it's kind of like a last ditch effort to try and gain a couple of tenths when there's going to be a flag or a yellow or a checker coming out. As soon as Greg caught up to me, I decided to run the high line, and then I didn't even notice it was Justin coming back up. I'd already destroyed my tires, and he never. I don't know. They got too hot, and it would have been a good race to the end if we didn't have that late race yellow. But yeah, the high line, it just felt nice. It got a nice run off the corner. It wasn't super loose or anything. Just had to try and keep out of the wall.
And of course, next week, not an official race, but it'll be Gen 7 cars over at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Not an official points race, of course. Are we going to be seeing you out there at that event, though, before we get kicked off for the first season of 2022?
Yeah, points, no points. I'm just out here to have fun. It'd be nice to get some experience with the next-gen cars. Haven't used them a lot yet. I hope we can get them going in this league sooner than later, but, we'll see. It's going to be a lot of fun switching it up.
Well, fingers crossed then that you'll be finding yourself with a solid performance over at Homestead and hopefully going forward in this next season as well. Thank you for coming on out to join us tonight. Before I let you go, Noah, anybody you'd like to shout out for your Frontline 87?
Absolutely. I'd like to thank Justin for bringing me along. Tom for letting me in. The Frontline guys are really great. So it was a great car. And thanks for Bruzy for sponsoring the car. So hopefully we can get a win next week.
That was Noah Bitts bringing the helm into 3rd place at the end of the night. That brings up 2nd place finisher Brian Johnson, and I will hand this one right off to you, Brian.
Well, hello, Mr. Johnson. Great job to you tonight. I mean, 2nd place. you made some excellent calls tonight, especially pitting when you did. I mean, even though a late race caution did happen, you were able to lock down second with another gamble along with Greg Wachinski. How are you feeling?
Yeah, that was a good race. The frontline guys, I mean, they had the class of the field. Obviously, I mean, they had the long run pace. I didn't have a car, so we had to play some strategy games there at the end. But yeah, we didn't have any tires left, so we just lined up on the front row and said, "Screw it, we're going to send it and hope for the best." So a little bit of luck went our way, and came out with the second place finish. So at best, probably had a fifth, sixth, seventh place car. So I'll take a second place.
For sure. And what were some of the things you were struggling with out there on the racetrack? Like, what was on your mind most of the race?
Oh, it's just long run pace. Yeah, I just didn't have the turn in and center rotation. Drive off was okay, but once you get behind another car, it's really hard to pass. With the aero package and the aero push. So even though there at the end we had fresh tires, once I got behind Justin, it was just so hard to pass, and I ended up burning up my rear tires. So I was just coasting there at the end.
Well, definitely worked out for you, though. Second place finish. Definitely going to be bringing you a lot of momentum into future races. Speaking of future races, like Nolan just said, we're going to be having a next-gen race, non-points, of course, at Las Vegas. Do you think you're going to be making it?
Yeah, I think so. I have a lot of fun racing with these guys. Good bunch, very competitive. So I think I'll make the show.
We definitely look forward to seeing you there. Who can we shout out for you after second place tonight?
Yeah, shout out to G&G. Shout out to you guys, Southern Spiral Pipe, for sponsoring the car. And we'll see you next week.
All righty, thank you. That is Brian Johnson, your second place finisher. Back to you, Nolan.
And that will bring up, of course, our race winner on the night. Greg Wachinski brings it home. And Greg, I cannot remember the last time we talked to you in Victory Lane. It must feel good to finally be back.
It's actually the first time I've made it to Victory Lane here in the ISCA ButtKicker series. So, I've been in the podium several times, but this is the first time I've won one, so it feels pretty good.
Well, in that case, I'm going to change that to congratulations on your first ever ISCA victory, and what dramatic fashion to take that in as well. I mean, gambling not once, but twice. You gamble first on taking the tires earlier on, and then you gambled a second time the other way around on staying out on those tires. What was the thought process behind that?
Well, it's kind of just like Brian said. We pitted we pit under that second to last caution, and that was our last set of tires. So there at the end, we didn't have any more tires left. There's nothing left to do but just go for it. This guy's my teammates. I think they definitely looked out for me and helped me out big time there in this last couple laps, because those the frontline guys, they were fast. Even with fresher tires, once I caught them, I couldn't even pass them. It was crazy.
And of course, with yourself being in Victory Lane here today, it's an incredibly lucky thing that you managed to get your way through. And I think it's safe to say that late caution that came out right before the white flight helped you to secure that victory. Do you plan to maybe find yourself in Victory Lane a couple more times over the next season?
I sure hope so, God willing.
Well, in that case, fingers crossed, we've seen you in Victory Lane more times throughout your ISCA career. Before I let you go, here, anybody you'd like to shout out for your GG number 5?
All of my buddies there at G&G, we do a great job making some setups that we can be competitive with out here. So, those guys are great.
And
thanks to you guys, of course, for taking the time to do such a great broadcast.
And thank you, Greg, for taking the time to join us here tonight. Congratulations on your first ever ISCA victory in dramatic fashion. And, well, hopefully we'll be seeing you, we'll be talking to you more in the future.
Thank you.
Well, I talked to your season champion already 1 week ago, 2 weeks ago at the National Fairgrounds Speedway. So for us here at the ISCA, it's about time to wrap things up here, Brian. But before we head on out, I mean, what do you have for closing thoughts on what an exciting season, an exciting finale it's been so far for us?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I mean, this race had a season's worth of drama in it. So you could pack it all into this race here. I mean, but it has been a great season. So excited to see the rest of the next season too. I mean, if it's any more of this, everybody should be tuning into this.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's safe to say that we are all looking forward to what this first season of 2022 has in store for us. Next week, it is not going to be official racing, but you'll be having yourself a Gen 7 race over at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. For now, though, from 2021 and the ISCA ButtKicker Cup Series season, it is time to say farewell. I've been Ola Rempel with Brian Britt in the broadcast booth. Rob Melody has been bringing you all the action from the green flag in race 1 all the way to the yellow and the checkered here tonight. We say goodbye on 2021. We get set to close the book on what has been an absolutely amazing season. We wait eagerly to see what is in store for us in season 2.